Okay, 6:01, we'll call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Hillsborough City Council to order. First item on the agenda is the pledge of allegiance. Please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda here, statements from persons wishing to address the council. We have one, Mr. Basil Zangari.
All right. Ready when you are, Megan. All right. So, see, I've got the different attire on again. This is my battle gear. We all going to war. So, you guys know who you are. The ones that aren't involved, well, you guys know who you are, because I really haven't spoken about you. But the criminal acts that are going on, we'll get to that in a minute. But I really want to address something on this agenda. How is item number 7 going to be deliberated and acted on about something on a Main Street Board advisory thing when you guys are actually literally down here to item number 9, going to hear the first hearing and deliberate on a Main Street Advisory Board? So how can you guys pass this in a consent agenda to a public hearing on a board that doesn't exist? Well, that'll be your first TOMA violation tonight, so I would recommend you guys table that until you get your establishment of your Main Street Advisory Board done. I'm going to be filing some more TOMA violations. And since my Commissioner's Court application's turned back in, the heat's coming back up. I was toning it down just because I was getting my petitions and signatures out there, but now that we're done with that filing, we're going to go ahead and turn it back up. You know, it's not advisable of city administration staff to literally go around and talk about people behind their back about deadlines not being met when they don't have a law license or filing authority, and we all know who we're talking about because she's back there on her cell phone ignoring the meeting going on. That would be the executive director, Jessica True. I've got an audio of her talking shit about me, put that way, okay? Second, I'll hold on to that. You know, you guys are joking about that deadline that I missed. How do we know we missed a deadline? That's for the courts to decide. You guys will see that in court. I've got a lawyer working on that immediately. So things are going to change. I'm going to start bringing my legal team in. Every time you guys do so, I'm going to start filing suits. I know I said that in the past I didn't want to. I really didn't. But you guys have forced my hand because you guys don't care about the city. And then I'm going to move on to Leanne Richmond, who hasn't paid a single second about my First Amendment right, as she claimed on Facebook that you respect. You obviously don't respect it. You said everything I said is a lie. Well, can you prove it? Because, you know, you called Jimmy Lehman to go ahead and get your water bill hidden, change your account number. You can fake that. I already know your account number's changed because I already know what it is. Okay? So you keep on going about, you can keep on going and try to cover stuff up, but the more you cover up, the more I dig, the more I find stuff, and the more I expose you. When are you gonna step down? Obviously, from today's post, the Provident Data Center deal is dead, which I disagree. So when are you gonna step down and do the honorable thing? You don't even live in the city. And we'll show that again when I get the water bill again this month and put it online. So, how's your mental health, by the way, Megan, since you're back? I know I do that to you. Thank you.
So have any follow-up? Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Deliberate and act on the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting on August 4th and the budget workshop on August 11th, 2026. Act on the approval of bills. Deliberate and act on a resolution regarding a request by the Main Street Board to close various streets for the purpose of holding Antique Alley, Autumn Fest, and Halloween in Hillsborough and related events. Council, does anyone have any questions about any of those individual items? Separate and pull any of them out? Okay. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move for approve.
Second. We got a motion and a second. City Secretary?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Moving on to the regular agenda, deliberate and act on a resolution approving a request for business signage at 117 Suite B, East Franklin Street, the Butchers of Hill County. The applicants are Chaz and Shelby Forster.
Yes, good evening, council members and mayor. I'm just here, we're asking that the council review or consider and review the application for signage since the Main Street Board is not able to meet currently due to the lack of ordinance. So it's in the packet. There's pictures. Normally what we would go off of is we just want to ensure that the signage is compatible with the historic context. We want to make sure that the signage is not obscuring any architectural features of the building, and that it's not going to be attached with any kind of destructive methods, and that it is appropriately scaled.
Thanks for that recommendation.
We just one final thing, we wanted to ensure that we weren't delaying the business. They're set to open in the next couple of weeks.
Council, any questions for Ms. Barron? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Got a motion and a second.
Aye.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda, hold a public hearing, first reading, and deliberate on an ordinance establishing and governing the Hillsborough Main Street Program Advisory Board.
Yes, so we've drafted an ordinance since the previous one cannot be located, we're assuming due to a server crash, and so we've drafted that, and we have it ready for you guys to review.
Ms. Barron. Council, any questions for Tiffany regarding the Main Street Board? This does require a public hearing. We'll open it up to anyone in the audience that would like to address this specific agenda item. Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and move on to the next agenda item. Number 10, hold a public hearing, first reading, and deliberate on an ordinance establishing and governing the Parks Advisory Board.
Mayor and council, staff thought it prudent to just go ahead and check through all the ordinances related to the various boards and commissions, and we were unable to find an ordinance corresponding to the creation of the Parks Advisory Board as well. So similarly, you have in your packet an ordinance that would formally state the purpose and operations of the Parks Advisory Board. Again, this is a long-standing board. We have every reason to believe that an ordinance was adopted at some point in the future, but there's a server crash that we know of that happened a few years ago where we lost a bunch of documents, and there have been server crashes before. So Just in order that everything can be clearly understood and communicated, we think it's important to go ahead and approve or consider this ordinance.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Council, any questions for Mayor regarding Parks Advisory Board? This does require a public hearing, so we'll open it up to anyone in the audience that would like to address the ordinance regarding the Park Advisory Board. Basil.
I just want to address Megan. I just kind of want to thank you for actually going through and looking for that ordinance after I brought it to your attention about the Main Street Board. So thank you for doing that due diligence.
Yes, sir.
And maybe there was one, I was only there when we did it, I don't know where this goes. She came and come with me, we did do it, but it's been some years ago.
Yes, ma'am. And just, we need to be able to have the document. So if we don't have the document, we need to bring the document to you. Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Anyone in the audience, again, that would like to address this agenda item, Parks Advisory Board? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and move on to the next agenda item. Hold a public hearing, first reading and deliberate on an ordinance establishing one-way street requirements and designating the list of one-way streets in the city of Hillsborough to include portions of West Gould Street, East Gould Street, East Walnut Street during school hours, Bonds Alley, and West Fancher Street. Additionally, removing the one-way designation from the underblock of Country Club Road. Tony?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Based on feedback from community members who thought there's no longer a need for the section of 103 Country Club to be one-way in front of Franklin School, the Franklin School building, we have recommended that that section of street go back to a two-way. While we're reviewing that ordinance, we decided to clarify all the other one-way streets within the city. And so we went through those, make sure those are still up to date, which they are. So we recommend that we ultimately make 103 Country Club in front of Franklin Street two-way, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Council, any questions for Mr. Kane? I do have a couple. Number one, we have discussed with the school district, they are okay with taking it to two-way,
Yes, sir. Spoke with Dr. Brown a couple times about this.
and they understand that with it being two-way, parking on the street should not be allowed.
Yes.
There is employee parking, correct, for them,
Yes, sir.
not on the street.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, correct. Council, any further questions for Mr. Kane? Okay, this does require a public hearing. We'll open it up to anyone in the audience that would like to address the one-way street requirements. Basil?
I want to, again, thank Tony for making sure that the one-way streets are on there. The last meeting, they were not properly on there, and of course, Leanne had to kind of reiterate it wasn't that reason, it was something else. So I just wanted to say thank you for making sure they're on there, Tony. That's actually the proper legal way to make sure that this gets passed properly without a towing violation. So thank you.
Thank you, Basil. Anyone else in the audience that would like to address the specific agenda item? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Move on to number 12, hear and deliberate on a presentation regarding the proposed 2026-2027 budget.
Mayor and council, not much to add following last week's budget workshop. We really appreciate council's participation in that conversation. You did direct staff to go back and sharpen the pencil and see if we could come up with a little bit more money for employees. We have taken a look at that. there would be a difference of something like $140,000 across all funds to go from the 1% that we presented to the 3% that you guys said you would like to see. And it is, Dale and I have gone back and forth, and Dale thinks that it's possible to whittle things and make that happen. So if that's something that council would like to see us do, we think we can make it happen. Overall, if we did the 3%, that would be an approximate increase in salaries and benefits of $414,000 year over year. That includes not only the previously proposed cost of living increase for employees across the board, but also the step pay that would be implemented upon approval for police and fire. So of the $414,000 across the board, that is approximately $275,000 just in police and fire to do the step changes, and then to do some degree of COLA applying to that whole framework. So this would move the framework up a very small amount and also do a 3% across the board. And again, compared to what we presented last week, the difference is about $100,000. No, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong number. About $140,000.
Council, any questions from Ms. Anderson? I will say I'm glad that we were able to find the money there for the employees. I think that it's a good show of effort on everybody's part to make sure we're taking care of it. Yeah. Any further discussion? Okay. Moving on to the next agenda item. Deliberate and act on a motion to set September 1, 2026 as a date for the public hearing on the proposed 2026-2027 budget.
Sorry, yes. It is required that we take formal action to set a public hearing on the budget. And it is required that we take a formal action to propose a public hearing on the tax rate. So the first of these is to set September 1st as the date for the public hearing on the proposed budget. Once the governing body has specifically chosen the dates for these public hearings, then the city is required to go through a certain number of steps of posting requirements. Things have to go in the newspaper a certain number of days before each of these public hearings. And so formal action is required to set that date because that triggers the rest of the calendar.
Council, any questions on setting September 1st as the date for the public hearing on the budget, 2026-2027? Okay, this is an ag motion. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second.
Aye.
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 Number 13, number 14. Deliberate and act on a motion to propose a 2026 ad valorem tax rate and set September 1st, 2026 as the date for the public hearing on tax rate increase.
Similarly, as complicated as the rules are for adopting a budget, the rules for adopting a tax rate are even more complicated. And so if you're going to If your property tax rate, even if the rate itself stays the same, if it's going to bring in more money than last year, it's a tax increase. So if you're going to do anything that brings in a penny more than last year, it's a tax increase. And to increase taxes, you have to go through a bunch of steps. So there is a ceiling on that. If it's called the voter approval rate, past the voter approval rate, then we would have to have an election. So in between the no new revenue rate and the voter approval rate, anywhere in there, we have to follow kind of the steps that we're following. So the current tax rate is 0.8024 per $100 in value. There was discussion at the budget workshop of lowering that rate to 0.8000. That is a difference of roughly $21,000. So it is a decrease in the tax rate. It would not be, it's still a tax increase technically, but it does lower the rate a little bit. You can consider how much of an impact that is budget-wise. The council can propose at this point any rate in between the no new revenue rate and the voter approval rate. Things that we've talked about, current rate is 0.8024 per $100. At the budget workshop, we talked about 0.8000, but it is up to you guys to propose whatever rate you want to propose.
Council, any questions for Ms. Henderson regarding the ad valorem tax rate? Again, at the budget workshop, it was discussed 0.8000. That is lower than last year's. But that is a no new revenue rate, right?
It's not the no new revenue rate. The no new revenue rate is 0.774 or something. I'm sorry, I misspoke. 0.7770.
All right, council, any questions? So on this one, Megan, I'm assuming we need something specific.
Yes, sir.
Motion. So the
Yes,
motion
sir.
you make, we need to include, correct?
Yes, sir. It will need to propose a tax rate. We'll need to take a record vote on that proposal. That doesn't set the tax rate. That just puts on record what is being proposed, and then there will be the public hearing. So either in the same motion or a separate motion, we also need a record vote to set the date of the public hearing on tax increase as September 1st as well.
This was written all together, would that be okay?
That's fine.
Council, so somebody would need to entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I propose a motion of setting September 1st as the date for the tax assessment increase, or the tax increase and the tax rate for the year 2026. We set it to 0.8000 per $100.
Point of clarification, I want to make sure that what you said was to set September 1st as the date for the public hearing on tax increase.
Public hearing, yes.
And a tax rate of 0.8000.
Yes.
Leanne, are you okay with that? Second. Okay, I'll let you second that one again, please. Thank you. We got a motion, a second. Any discussion, further discussion? Okay. City Secretary Caldwell.
Aye.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, hear and deliberate on the city manager.
Mayor and council, not a lot of changes to this report since last time. Just in case there is a single new face in the room, I want to tell you that at our council meetings, I report on our progress towards the city's 8 strategic goals found in our strategic plan. At the first council meeting of the month, I report on the first 4 goals. At the second council meeting of the month, I report on the last 4 goals. So these are goals 5 through 8. The first of those, goal 5, the first of those 4 is build better infrastructure. And this slide is meant to communicate our progress towards the strategic goal of creating projects or processes that, if continued over time, will get and keep our infrastructure in good condition or predominantly good condition. So this doesn't mean that a year from now, if we do these things, they're going to be good. This is years and years of infrastructure work. But what this is meant to communicate is how close are we to meeting the goal of creating the processes that are going to fix it over time. And in streets and water, the first portion of assessment is complete. We have done professional, system-wide assessments of our streets and water systems. We know on a big picture basis, what is needed, what condition they're in. In wastewater, we have studied a fraction of the system, and in drainage, there is an overall system study underway, but it is only about 25% complete. In streets and water, we have a pretty good strategy. Streets, I would say the strategy is still being tweaked to reflect the new equipment that we've brought in to redo blocks of street. In water, the strategy is pretty good, and we're working the strategy, and we're seeing some results, and I'll talk more about that in a second. And then the next section is how much can we self-perform, and then how much can we contract out. So both in streets and water, we are contracting out basically what we can afford to contract out. So we're doing what we can on that level, where I think on streets we have the biggest ground to gain is in getting our strategy honed on self-performance. That is really what's going to unlock the biggest, most measurable changes in our process, is for us to be able, and it'll be the smaller streets that we're able to do ourselves and not have to contract out. But that's the piece that we're still working through and making sure that we've got the right equipment and the right manpower and they know how to do it. So that's very much still being worked on, and we can't, I wish I could tell you we're right there, but we're not. We're still working on that piece. On wastewater and drainage, we're not even at that point yet. We're still kind of in the assessment and strategy making point. But, did I turn it off? Maybe I turned it off. Nope. Okay, it's on. It just doesn't like me again. Doesn't like Jasmine either. Okay, thank you. So talking more about water, since that's kind of the biggest issue. Previously completed, we've got 2% of our needed linear feet done. It reverted. There we go, okay. And we've got planned projects that are gonna do about another 20 or so percent of the linear feet that we need. Our belief, based on the engineering reports and the sections that we've chosen for replacement, are that 23% of the needed linear footage is going to reduce our actual water loss by at least 30% and hopefully more like 40%. We are hopeful, the reason that that's important is because our water loss is something like 55%. And we pay retail for that water because we don't treat it. We have to buy it treated from Aquila Water Supply District, and that's expensive. Everybody is paying on their water bill the overhead of that lost water. By reducing our water loss, the money that we save in diverting that cost, we can roll back into line replacements. And so the theory is that we're gonna hit a point where the snowball starts going in the other direction. And every month I get real excited, because I'm a nerd, to get our bill from Aquila, because that tells us what we actually drew down from them, and that's telling us whether what we're doing is working. And so I can report that since November, when we started this line replacement work, our monthly gallons purchased from Aquila has dropped an average of 22%. And our water gallons sold have not dropped. So that doesn't mean that the water, we're still, customers are still using water, but we are measurably leaking less. So that's exciting. There have been progress made, not just out in the field replacing water lines, but there's been progress made in the office, going through the utility billing, going through all the meters. We're testing meters, not just, oh, they're new, they're probably right. We're actually pulling some and doing bench tests. And so we're trying to kind of drill down into greater accuracy on every piece of that process that we can measure and control. The biggest piece is going to be just raw water out there in fields. The stuff that we're doing in the office is a smaller percentage of the whole, but we're working on them all simultaneously. And we have more projects planned, right now that we think are going to have a big impact on water loss as well. So we're really hopeful that if we continue this process, we're going to begin to see positive results. And ultimately, it's not just about lowering cost for our customers, but it's also about increasing reliability. Every time we have a big unexpected water leak that requires us to take down the downtown tower, and everybody west of Cho can't use can't take a shower or finish the laundry that they've got going. It's a problem for our residents, it's a problem for our businesses. Goal 6. Sorry, Jasmine. All right, goal 6 is to deliver essential services. We've got maintenance, so this is more kind of just the running things in general. We've got maintenance scheduled for the downtown tower and the college tower. The line replacement from the industrial park to Craig Street has been paused. Right now we need to relocate a fence, but they're ready to get going as soon as we've got that fence moved and they can go across that straightaway. We have received numbers on the sledge press replacement at the wastewater treatment plant, and the budget under consideration does, give us the ability to do that project, largely because we would finance it and the payments wouldn't show up until the following fiscal year. Talked about the citywide drainage study. We have the first set of problem areas have been identified. And just to remind everyone, that is a study that's being funded by the Texas Water Development Board. So we're not having to pay for that $300,000 citywide drainage study. Street maintenance, we have scheduled training with the new equipment that I was talking about. We're continuing to maintain Wallace Park. And we've got the recommendations in hand from the facilities master plan. There are significant facilities needs. This budget does not really contemplate anything serious on that score. As you guys know, this is a lean budget year, and we're not, anything that we can put off, we're really trying to put off. Goal number 7 is to boost economic development. The ongoing project, Project Dispatch, you guys will mostly know is the data center project. For anyone who has not yet seen that, Provident has pulled out. There is not currently a contract on that portion of the EDC's property. For our purposes, that project is dead. Whether they come back at some future point, whether another data center project comes at a future point, that is, we have no idea what the future holds, and future councils and EDCs and P&Zs can evaluate any future projects, but that property is available for any type of industrial development, and it is zoned heavy industrial. So I know that Jessica is marketing that property. We had another request for information this morning. There continues to be interest, and EDC will work that as appropriate. Project Freeze Pop continues to move forward. Continue to review options with Project Treasure Hunt and Project Pit Stop. No movement. At the Outlet Mall, I'm sorry. I skipped downtown. I'm so sorry. So as we know, Brewers Bistro is open, and Rogue Brick has had their grand opening, so they're open and exciting things are going on there. At the Outlet Mall, we've had the Chick-fil-A grand opening. Waffle House is open as of this week. Panda Express is open. They're having a ribbon cutting on Thursday. Boot Barn is expected in January of 2027. And Joe, which is a coffee user that has not yet been named, that plat is going to PNZ. We are doing a couple of kind of white box prep on some of the retail spaces that we have, and we expect about 3 leases on some of those spaces coming soon. Library summer programming was amazing. Hopefully soon we'll get some numbers on the number of kids and families that were impacted by that programming. They are continuing with their regular programming, including knitting and chess club and D&D and all those things. At Parks and Rec, the splash pad will close as usual the day after Labor Day. We have 3 positions open in Parks and Rec, and the crews are trying to just keep up with the demands of baseball, softball. Over on the Texas Theater, we are collecting volunteers and donations via the project's website. The roof is complete, and next steps will include the structural assessment of the awning and a couple of different kind of cleanup and work parties to get the space a little bit more user-friendly. Staff, we've got 3 police officers have graduated from academy. We're excited about that. There are a couple of openings in fire, and then fun stuff going on downtown. We've got the farmers market that continues. Movies in the park are continuing, and then we've got our joint meeting with City Council, Planning and Zoning, and the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee to review the draft comprehensive plan tomorrow night. That is tomorrow night here at 6 p.m. And this is kind of the first time that draft comp plan will be presented. So the consultants will go through the document and its recommendations and components, and then it would go to each of these groups separately for an actual vote. So this is kind of the time to hear what it says and ask questions and all that kind of stuff. Downtown concerts pick back up in September, and of course, Autumn Fest is in October. Any questions for me?
Council, any questions for Ms. Henderson? Okay,